I'm Erin Gray, a 25th century actress most known for my role as Buck Rogers. Erin Gray seems to possess everything. As Colonel Wilma Deering in Buck Rogers, the gorgeous model turned TV personality made millions of dollars. However, there was a nightmare behind the cameras that began when she was only 10 months old. She would be haunted by her own father's act of cruelty for decades. After that, she was nearly ruined by a 22-year marriage and her stepfather, who broke boundaries that should never be crossed. The tragic reality of what actually happened to the woman who inspired a generation is being revealed to us today. Erin Gray was born in Honolulu on January 7, 1950. It was not yet a U.S. state at the time and was still a part of Hawaii. Her life with her parents, Daniel and Diane, appeared to be perfect. Her mother was a photographer, while her father was a businessman. From the outside, it appeared to be paradise. However, things were completely different behind closed doors. Daniel mistreated Erin's mother as well. What ought to have been a happy childhood spent in the sun and beneath pom-poms turned into a period of anxiety and psychological damage. Before Erin ever reached her adolescent years, the image of a contented Hawaiian home was destroyed. Erin's life took a radical shift when she became 8 years old. Erin accompanied her mother when she made the painful decision to divorce her spouse. They didn't simply abandon the man, they departed from everything they knew, including their house and friends. The break wasn't clean, it was a way out. In order to save her daughter from additional abuse, Diane ran away with her. Erin had to say farewell to her father, her school, and her island home, all at once when she was 8 years old. It was a devastating loss for a youngster who was only starting to comprehend the world. She no longer felt safe, and the road ahead would not be much simpler. Palm Springs, California, was their next destination. While her mother fought to repair their life, Erin moved in with her grandparents. It seemed like a separate planet at Palm Springs. Dry desert winds took the place of Hawaii's beautiful, green scenery. Erin felt alone rather than protected. During those years, her mother wasn't present very often. She was left in her grandparents' care and had to get used to a strange and chilly environment. The shift was challenging. She was still dealing with the emotional scars from her father's abuse, and now she had to adjust to a whole new world without her mother's daily presence. Erin was later taken to live at Larks, Moraine County, after her mother remarried. But this motion caused additional agony rather than stability and comfort. She was abused by her stepfather. The house that was meant to be her haven turned into yet another horror. Erin's patience finally gave out. She once reached for a knife in a last-ditch effort to defend herself and threatened to kill him if he ever touched her again. Despite only being a youngster, she had already experienced more survival than most adults could fathom. Although the trauma didn't stop at that point, it demonstrated the lengths she was prepared to go to in order to defend herself when no one else would. Erin never gave up on herself despite all of this suffering. She performed exceptionally well in school. She completed her final semester at Pacific Palisades High School after attending Redwood High School. She continued in spite of the commotion at home. She was accepted to UCLA with the intention of majoring in mathematics, which is among the hardest courses to choose. This was a remarkable achievement for someone who had experienced sexual trauma, physical abuse, and several moves. It demonstrated her true intelligence and tenacity. However, Erin took a risk just as it appeared like she had a clear route. She dropped out of college. She didn't quit or fail because of difficulties. She decided to follow her dreams. It began with an accidental encounter. When she first met Nina Blanchard in 1965, she was 15 years old. One of Los Angeles' most potent modeling agents was Blanchard. Renee Russo and Cheryl Tees were among the celebrities she had already found. There was a connection when she met Erin. Erin came to the realization that she no longer wanted to attend a math class. She had higher expectations. Even though she was still in high school, she had already made up her mind. The dream would be hers to pursue. However, by the age of 14, she had already experienced her first significant breakthrough. She participated in a St. Louis modeling competition. She lacked both experience and training, but she prevailed. She gained the confidence she required from that one competition. When she received her first modeling job opportunity, it led to opportunities she had never had before. She soon found herself working in Los Angeles on commercial projects. She then turned her attention to New York. She left California behind when she was a teenager. With texting and video calls, this wasn't a contemporary tactic. It was the 1960s. You were truly gone when you departed. She made the decision to enter one of the most difficult fields in the world, foregoing stability in college. However, she flourished rather than merely survived. She rose to prominence as one of New York's top models in a few years. She belonged to a select group of young ladies who would later become well-known. Susan Blakely, Veronica Hamill, and Farrah Fawcett were all in the same modeling industry. They collaborated. They were in competition with one another. They filmed ads for Canberra, Clairol, and Max Factor. Erin wasn't merely keeping up, she was making an impression. Her English leather ad gained notoriety. She spoke the words that would follow her for years while staring directly into the camera. Either my men wear English leather or nothing at all. She was more than merely famous by 1975. She was wealthy. She was earning $100,000 a year at the age of 25. That was over 10 times the average household income in the United States. In current currency, that would be almost $570,000 annually. This was no coincidence. She didn't have any privilege or money. She had no industrial contacts. She used only talent and perseverance to build her profession. She had freedom because of that money. She was free to select the occupations she desired. She may have survived without pursuing roles. She was able to act riskier later on, since she was no longer constrained by the thought of her income. For Erin Gray, a single line on television in the middle of the 1970s changed everything. She stated it while facing the camera with a composed assurance that was hard to miss. Either my men wear English leather or nothing at all. It turned into one of the most memorable moments in the history of advertising. The timing was audacious. Although the commercial dared to tinker with something more daring, America remained conservative. Gray's speech was brave, graceful, and fluid. It was more than a perfume commercial. It was a moment of culture. Gray was more than simply a model. All of a sudden, she turned into a national obsession. English leather sales surged along with her notoriety. She went from being a well-known face to a household name with that one sentence. Her picture was all over the place. She was no longer forgotten. Erin Gray had already taken over American television with ads long before she donned a space uniform. She was employed by some of the most well-known companies: RC Cola, Breck, Max Factor, Carroll, and Came Soap. Every company recognized something special about her. For Brett, she was the quintessential American beauty with immaculate hair. She was elegant in Max Factor's eyes. She felt at home with Clairol. Her freshness was what Came desired. Her enthusiasm and approachability were the reasons RC Cola chose her. She seemed capable of becoming anyone. She was visible to viewers throughout almost all commercial breaks. Her versatility was adored by advertisers. She was referred to as the commercial chameleon. She could effortlessly transition from elegant to playful to serious in a single commercial break. She made it appear natural. Because of the range, she became not only a popular model but also one of the most dependable television personalities. Something that will reverberate for generations occurred in 1971. I'm worth it. So a young copywriter produced a statement for Lord. The first woman to say it on screen was Erin Gray. She spoke in a pleasant and assured tone. This beauty ad didn't tell women they needed to be fixed. In contrast to most others, it informed them that they were worthy of quality and that they were sufficient. And ladies paid attention to what Gray had to say. Marketing was no longer the only focus. It had the feel of a pledge. The message swiftly spread, reaching women throughout numerous nations. More than 40 languages were translated into it. In the history of beauty, the campaign turned into one of the most effective and enduring slogans. A new era of self-empowerment in advertising was ushered in by Gray's voice. Just by having faith in what she was saying, it was more than just a job posting. There was a movement. Erin Gray startled the fashion industry by signing a deal around 1975. She was offered a 10-year deal by Bloom. In modeling, such a long-term arrangement was practically unheard of. The majority of contracts were for weeks or months, but this one afforded Gray 10 years of consistent employment. Her appearances in print advertisements, television commercials, and even in-store promotions made her the face of Bloomingdale's. Erin Gray was subtly getting ready for something larger when she was at the pinnacle of the modeling industry. She began taking acting classes from Warren Robertson, a well-known instructor. Not many people were aware. She collaborated with companies including Breck, Clairol, and Max Factor during the day. She practiced her voice and studied scripts at night. Despite earning over $100,000 annually as a model, she was aware that her fame would soon fade. In 1978, the next chapter started to open. Gray was cast in Evening in Byzantium, a television miniseries. It aired in 2 parts and lasted for hours. She co-starred with seasoned actor Glenn Ford. The plot revolved around terrorists bombing American cities during the Cannes Film Festival using stolen aircraft. The concept sounded unrealistic at the time. It seemed eerily real after September 11th later. Critics said that the movie appeared to foretell the future. The part proved difficult for Gray. She had scenes with well-known people like Eddie Albert and Shirley Jones. Despite being 36 years younger than Ford, she was able to compete. She displayed strength, timing, and profundity in her performance. She added something new rather than merely keeping up. Although reviews for the movie were varied, Gray attracted notice. Studios began to view her in a different light. They recognized possibilities. When Universal Studios made her an unexpected offer, that possibility became a reality. Following her performance in Evening in Byzantium and previous roles in Gibbsville and Police Story, the studio extended an exclusive deal to her for 7 years. Long-term agreements like that were uncommon, particularly for someone who had just changed careers. It meant a clear way forward and consistent work. Gray had just given birth to her daughter at the time. The majority of people slowed down after having children. She was moving quickly. The weekly salary was $600 at the beginning of the deal, with increases promised as she secured larger positions. Producers weren't certain about Erin Gray when they started casting for Buck Rogers in the 25th century. Given her reputation as a model, some people questioned her suitability. For a challenging part in science fiction, the task was challenging. Colonel Wilma was more than just a charming appearance. She was expected to be intelligent, strong, and a leader. At the age of 28, Gray was aware of the pressure when she went in for an audition. She made it unforgettable, yet the momentum she had built may fade if she didn't land the part. Unlike other female TV personalities, Wilma Deering was unique. She wasn't a sidekick, she was a colonel. She handled firearms, issued orders, and wore the same uniforms as male commanders. She was strong, determined, and serious. According to Gray, she needed to mentally assume that strength. She developed her leadership skills. Everything changed because of that job. After seeing her, women thought they could be leaders as well. She had a powerful presence. It was constant and unwavering, but neither loud nor ostentatious. In 1979, that was uncommon. The majority of TV ladies were either love interests or aides. Gray was unique. She was the leader. It required more than simply acting to play the part. Gray spent 12 to 14 hours a day filming. Her spandex costumes were tight and challenging to move in, while costing about $1,500 each. During action sequences, breathing was difficult, particularly in the intense studio lighting. Despite feeling as though the outfit was tightening over her, she maintained her composure. She had to learn how to run, fight, and do stunts while wearing garments that were so tight that they were limiting her breathing. She made no complaints. She arrived, put in the effort, and demonstrated that she could manage the same level of physical demands as her male co- However, things weren't always easy behind the scenes. Buck Rogers actor Gil Gerard began to argue with the authors. He thought the female characters were given too much attention in the writing. He thought they were shoving him away. According to the writers, he started altering sequences on set and ceased adhering to the humorous tone. There were few funds. To save money, they used shortcuts and repurposed props from other productions. The set became less energetic. The direction of the show grew erratic. Gray remained professional, though she maintained her composure and dedication to her role despite the chaos. The performance created history in spite of its issues. Gray made an impression with his performance. Years later, admirers approached her and said she encouraged them to pursue leadership positions, careers in science, or the military. Despite the series' brief two-season run, its influence persisted. Erin Gray was regarded as a representation of power and authority. Following his portrayal of the self-assured and courageous Colonel Wilma Deering in Buck Rogers in the 25th century. However, she changed completely in 1982. She debuted in Silver Spoons as Kate Summers Stratton, a kind-hearted, stylish stepmother from a wealthy family. It was more than just a shift in attire or speech. It was about altering her perception. She was now managing a commercial career and assisting with the upbringing of a little son in place of leading a starship. Both roles were sources of strength for Gray. One demonstrated that future troop leaders could be women. The other demonstrated that women could manage both career and family responsibilities in the modern world. At the time of Kate's participation, women were being told they could accomplish anything. They could raise kids, be content at home, and excel at their jobs. All of it appeared to come naturally to Kate. However, Erin Gray was anything but impartial behind the scenes. Her son Kevin was born in 1976, and she was the only parent.